Pittsburgh Steelers and the Baltimore Ravens. The Ravens are 4-point to 5-point home favorites over the Steelers. Last word, it does not look like Lamar Jackson is going to go. Still having trouble with that ankle of his. So we know that there's at least that's going on in this one. There is a very, 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 very outside chance that the Steelers could still make the playoffs. So we know that we will be getting their best effort, whatever their best effort is, this Pittsburgh Steelers team. That being said, Deontay Johnson moved to the COVID list. Don't know if he's going to be able to be back or not in this one. Steven, I think this is another one of those where I don't really like what I see from the Ravens and have seen from the Ravens pretty much all year anyway. So I can't see myself doing anything other than taking points in a game like this. But again, nothing that I'm sprinting to go and put in my account.
Matt, first question I have for you: if you want to back the Ravens, would you have preferred a hobbled Lamar Jackson or a totally fine Tyler Huntley at this point?
Oh, you would certainly want a hobbled Lamar Jackson. There's no doubt about that. But I think what we've seen too with Huntley is that teams are kind of like, oh, okay, we've got this guy figured out now at this point.
Yeah. So the first meeting 5 weeks ago, Baltimore was a 6-point favorite. If you put them on a neutral, they were -4 in Pittsburgh. Now we're looking at, it was 5.5 the other day with the Lamar news. We're looking at 4.5s and 4s. So 2 points on a neutral, let's say 2.5 on a neutral. But at the same time, I mean, how much do you trust the Steelers offense to get it done? The secondary has gotten a little healthier for Baltimore. The offensive line for Pittsburgh is a mess. Ben Roethlisberger in his could we have had a more appropriate performance for Ben Roethlisberger in his swan song at Heinz Field to throw for less than 3 yards per attempt? I mean, this is exactly what we thought he would be all season. Thank you, Ben, for going under 4,000 and hitting my season prop on this one this year. Mm-hmm. The first game between these two teams when Lamar Jackson was healthy, it was basically they played to a draw. It was the 2-point conversion game. And it really wasn't much of a fluke for Pittsburgh to win that when they were almost a full yard better in yards per play, and they sacked Lamar Jackson 7 times. So it's that weekly question with Pittsburgh. Is their pressure and their defense going to be enough to overcome a very bad offensive line and a quarterback who just doesn't have an arm anymore? And I have a hard time figuring that out, but in a low-scoring game, I'm probably going to lean towards taking the point. So if you want to bet Pittsburgh, I'd probably get on it now before it drops even further, I think, closer to kickoff.
Brad, again, low-scoring game here, low total, 41.5. You would be able to get 5. I mean, you can get as many as 5 right now with the Steelers. Does that at least intrigue you at all?
It is definitely the side I would take of the two. You know, just given the history, just given the game they played this season, the game they played over the last 10 years, you know, it does feel like it's always tight fought. It's always a 3-point game. 2 concerns. One is all these COVID, you know, it's some key players, the center, Deontay Johnson, Joe Hayden in the secondary, like, you know, they're important players. And the second is, can they replicate the energy they just put out on Monday night? You know, I think pretty much every player said like that was the most electric atmosphere they felt at Heinz Field for a decade, or, you know, outside of the playoffs. And, you know, the defensive line was just smashing the Browns' offensive linemen. Like every time you look, they were winning every collision. And I don't know whether they can replicate that, whether they can turn up, you know, 6 days later and do it again. So you couldn't lay 5 with this Ravens team and a banged up quarterback. No. So I would only be taking the points here, but it's not one I've done.
Hey, Matt.
Yeah, same. It's yeah.
The one angle I did like here maybe is first half under. If you can find 21, that's great, but I'd still play it at 20.5. The last 8 games, the Steelers offense is averaging less than 5 points per first half. Their ceiling in those games has been 10 points just 3 times. So before the 10 first half points last week against Cleveland, Pittsburgh went 5 straight games with 0 or 3 first half points. And last time I checked, this could change, but there was a little bit of rain possibly in the early forecast for this game as well. So the under 20.5 might be my favorite play on this one.